Startup phase. The two dinners. Somewhere right now, a 14-year-old is sitting at a dinner table in a house with 11 rooms, listening to her father explain why the family office needs a new accountant. She doesn't understand that her $200 allowance is a tiny distribution from a $47 million trust established in 1984. To her, wealth isn't a number. It's the weather that pays for ski trips and orthodontists in the background of her life. At that same moment, a 31-year-old is sitting at a desk in a dark apartment, doing the regret math they should have done a decade ago. They are adding up the Roth IRA contributions left on the table and the expensive memories from their 20s that left no financial residue. They are realizing that zero is actually a luxury because they are starting with a sinking feeling that arrives like a bill they forgot to pay. These two people are standing at opposite ends of the same ladder, the ladder of prestige. Whether you are inheriting it, building it in a tech campus, or clawing it back in your 30s, wealth follows a specific architecture. Today, we are going to look at the blueprints. This is your life at every level of the machine. Level 1, the proving ground, the intern and the analyst. You are 20 years old, and you are one of the 300 who made it through a 7-week gauntlet of technical interviews. You are being paid $10,500 a month to prove you belong in a building where the average engineer makes $400,000. You solve dynamic programming problems on whiteboards with shaking hands, and for the first week you realize that everything is free: the coffee, the food, the dry cleaning, because leaving the building is expensive. Time is the only currency the system actually cares about. If you aren't in tech, you're a development analyst at 22, earning $78,000. Your job is to understand why things cannot be built. You build pro formas, financial projections for buildings that don't exist yet, and you learn that in this industry, the absence of correction from your senior is the only praise you will ever get. Or perhaps you are the PhD student at 23, earning $48,000 a year to prove mathematical results that only 14 people will ever cite. You live at the boundary of fields that don't share a vocabulary, and you don't realize that a systematic hedge fund has already passed you through their first filter before you even knew there was one. At this level, you are furniture that functions correctly. You ship a performance optimization that reduces latency by 40 milliseconds, and while no one notices, you get the return offer. You are officially L3.
The internship was the trailer. This is the film.
Level 2, the Sunday flight and the physical flow. By 23, you're a commodity analyst in Geneva, tracking vessel movements across the Atlantic. You learn that physical trading is not finance. Finance moves paper, but you move molecules. A refinery explosion in Texas or a pipeline dispute in Kazakhstan doesn't just move a line on a screen, it changes your entire week. You learn that the physical world doesn't care about your assumptions, it only cares about what actually happens. If you took the consulting path, you are now 22 and earning $112,000. The Sunday flight is your life now. You're in Houston 1 week and Chicago the next, eating the same Marriott room service salad because it's the only thing your body still processes correctly at 11 p.m. You learn the pyramid principle: headline first, supporting points second. You start explaining things to your family using mutually exclusive and collectively extorsive frameworks, and they stop asking follow-up questions. At 25, you hit a milestone. You earn more than your parents made combined in any year of their lives. You take them to a restaurant where the cheapest entree is $62 and your father just orders water. You own systems now, not just features. When a service processing 2.3 billion requests goes down at 3 a.m., your phone vibrates and you have 15 minutes to respond before it escalates to a director. You sleep with your laptop open on the nightstand. These are the golden handcuffs, a financial instrument designed to keep you in the seat. Level 3, the wall, origination versus execution. At 27, the stakes shift. You're a private equity associate with an MBA and $190,000 in loans. You're 28 and you're sitting in a room while partners decide whether to commit $280 million to a company you've spent 9 weeks studying. You flag a sneaky EBITDA adjustment on page 34 of a report, and the partner nods. The purchase price drops by $6 million. No one says thank you. The deal is the acknowledgement. This is where you hit the wall. Below this level, you execute. Above it, you originate. You move from being the person who builds the model to the person who finds the deal. You start attending conferences not for the panels, but for the hallway conversations. You save the fund $100 million just by remembering a CEO's name and following up 11 times over 14 months. This is the distinction that determines whether you make partner or plateau. If you're a startup founder, you are now at the seed round. You've raised $1.4 million after 71 meetings and 162 emails. You've learned that "we'd love to stay in touch" is a no delivered in the language of optionality. You move into a real office that manufactures ambiguity and realize that hiring is now the only job that matters. Every wrong hire costs you exactly 4 months, 1 to recognize the problem, 1 to address it, 1 to execute the exit, and 1 to absorb the disruption. Level 4, the principal and the promote. You are 33 and you're a director of investments in a family office. You finally have discretion over a sleeve of the portfolio. You can say yes to a $12 million investment without asking for permission. This is the threshold that matters, not the title, but the power to move capital. Every loss is now personal. It's your family's legacy on the line. In real estate, you're 34 and you've reached the promote. This is the clause that separates real wealth from a very good salary. Once your investors get their 8 to 12% return, you get a disproportionate share of the remaining profit. You raise $11 million for a tower, and for the first time, your name is in the operating agreement. You realize that development isn't a construction business, it's a capital business. In the world of quant research, you are now a portfolio manager at 36. You run $800 million. You lost $31 million in 9 days in February when a volatility regime shifted. Your stomach doesn't drop anymore. It's just a number with the wrong sign that requires a sequence of corrective actions. You are right 52% of the time, and in this industry, that makes you exceptional. But then you hear about the Medallion Fund, 66% average gross returns for 36 years. You realize that while your machine is real, it is not the best machine. Level 5, the steward and the architect. You are 41 and you are a steward of a $1.4 billion family portfolio. You spend your time navigating the competing interests of 14 cousins and 2 aunts who have never worked a day in the office but have opinions on everything. You learn that governance is harder than investment management. A bad investment loses money. Bad governance loses family. At 47, you're a senior partner in private equity. You are institutional. Your name is in the marketing materials, and your annual cash compensation averages between $8 and $14 million. You've missed your son's basketball games so many times, he stopped telling you the schedule. He just texts you the score. You've created more than $1 billion of value for pension funds, but you've stopped asking if the math is the only framework that should apply. By 52, you are the architect. You don't think in terms of positions or returns anymore. You think in generations. You spend your time on trusts, holding companies, and succession documents. You are building the architecture that will outlast you, a system that can survive your absence. You realize the family office is an ecosystem where there must be room for different kinds of contribution.
Level 6, the regret math and the second architect. But what if you aren't the 14-year-old inheritor? What if you are the one starting at 31? The truth is, you will never have what you would have had if you'd started at 22. That is a permanent cost. But starting at 31 makes you a calibrated investor. You are less romantic about getting rich quick and more committed to boring consistency. You have a higher earning capacity now than you did at 22, and you can throw that fuel at the time problem as aggressively as possible. Your first year is the debt year. You aren't building a ceiling, you're building a floor, the thing that prevents you from falling further. Relief at 32 is worth more than you knew. By 35, you aren't wealthy, but you are stable. You have a spreadsheet you can open without dread. You are in a race with the version of yourself that keeps doing nothing. By 45, 14 years into the process, you have $537,000 in net worth. You tell a 19-year-old to start now, not as a lecture, but as a number. You've built a machine from a full stop with the knowledge of exactly what it cost you. Conclusion: the machine never stops. The buildings that define a city's skyline weren't built by the people with the most money. They were built by the people willing to put their name on the line for something that didn't exist yet. In every deal, there are two kinds of people: those who provide the capital, the fuel, and those who control it, the drivers. The market opens tomorrow. It doesn't ask how old you are, and it doesn't care about your past. It just finds new architects. Whether you are the intern, the founder, or the 31-year-old with the midnight spreadsheet, the only question that matters is the same. Are you going to show up? The architecture must hold. Start your inventory today.